So, Dad, Dad, what are we going to do today?
I think we're going to go home and drink beer. But anyway, before we can do that, we're going to wire this boat. We're going to start on the dash. And what we're going to do is we're going to separate the dash. We're going to have a plug. So if there are any issues up here, quick disconnect, pull it out, fix whatever it is, go about your business. Kind of like they do on race cars and stuff. So we learn from everybody else and what they do to make things better. So that comes from endurance racing. So when you're racing 24 hours and it breaks, got to fix it fast.
Do you know anything about boats?
Not a thing.
Do you own a boat?
No, thank God.
Have you ever owned a boat?
Yes, I have.
What happened to that boat?
We don't want to talk about it.
Alrighty, guys. So today we're going to just be working on this wiring harness, getting it done. It's Memorial Day weekend, and we're here at the shop working hard or hardly working. What do you think, Dad? Alright guys, so we just took the throttle off the side of the boat to figure out where all these wires went so that we knew for sure what went where. So Dad, you kind of want to walk them through how we figured it out and kind of like the troubleshooting process we went through.
Yeah, so basically what we're doing is tracking the wires back through this here, which actually isn't really that bad. And what we've figured out is this is the tack wire, this is the trim wires that also go to the front of the boat. So what we're going to end up doing is cleaning all this up and then making better connections out of the boat. We're probably going to leave this alone inside here.
So we figured out the trim switch. That's the first thing we figured out. How did we figure that out? We figured that out because we just went through and my dad asked, hey, what is this wire? Where does this wire go? And so I was like, I don't know. And I kind of looked up here and I was like, it's probably this trim switch, right? Because this is mechanical. You know, so okay, all right, that has to be trim. So we marked that as trim. And then we went over to the other end and we figured out, okay, well, there has to be like 2 leads for the switches and then 1 lead for the gauge, correct?
Correct. And then this also goes back to the back of the boat as
yeah,
well.
So it goes to the back of the boat, so we know, okay, that's what this controls tilt or trim, right? So then we had a big old wad right here and we were like, okay, well, what does this do? So we just kind of traced it back and it runs to the ignition and then runs to the back of the boat. So what that would mean to us is that it's probably the tack because speed is going to be coming through a tube and there's no other gauges up here. So we're going to assume that this is the tack wire. And then now we're going to clean this all up and maybe bolt it back on. We'll probably wait to do that until we're know that everything works. But that's kind of, guys, that's kind of how you troubleshoot. It's fairly simple. Just kind of use your common sense. We've never opened one of these before, so that's the tube.
That's the tube.
That's the tube for the speedo.
For the speedo.
So
we might get a new tube though.
So you know, if you guys are doing this, following along, even if you have the older boat, older thing, you can just look on the back. Okay, so here's speed. Speed has a tube. All right, there's no ground, and this is just a light. Then we have the tack, we have a ground, battery, and some connections, right? And then what we got going on here.
Well, this is the dip switch, so it knows. You have to figure out what the dip switch for the RPM. So that'll be in the instructions for this RPM gauge.
Yep. And then we have fuel, and then trim or trim and fuel, and so that's it. That's all the gauges that are up here. So you just got to figure out what runs to these gauges, and you're pretty much done, right? Yep, pretty simple. Okay, so we're gonna clean that up and get to going. So we're gonna run some 4 gauge. This is actually 4 gauge, guys. Gonna run some 4 gauge.
Is that 4 gauge?
It's 4 gauge.
Okay.
It's 4. We're gonna run 4 gauge from back here out through there to power the console. It's just better safe than sorry. If you know, who knows? Maybe one day someone will put 3 graphs on the dash, and you're gonna want to have enough power. So we'll put some 4 gauge. It's a short run, and then yeah. So watch us do it. Well, that's it for this week, guys. I'm going to just do a quick overview of what we did because the video was kind of all over the place and I didn't get a lot of good footage. So we went through the throttle assembly here and we marked out what was going on so that we can know what wires we need to run from the front of the boat and what we need to run here to the console. We also went ahead and ran the power and ground that are going to run to the battery and the Percos switch that is going to power the fuse block that's going to go here. So we glued this piece on to screw the fuse block into so that we didn't go through the side of the boat. We also went ahead and ran these wires. This might be in next week's video as well. These are the wires that run to the front of the boat. We got hot and ground that are going to go to a bus bar, 2 bus bars, and then we got trim, and then we got navigation. Come on, focus, camera. And at the back of the boat we got nav, bilge, aerator. We ran that as well. We've been working really hard on this boat. We did a lot of stuff in the past couple weeks. It's just I don't want to make these videos 20 minutes long. I want to kind of keep them 7 to 8 minutes at the most, and give you guys content that you can digest. But here's what we got going on in the back of the boat. A little sneak peek of what's going on there, and then a little sneak peek of that. Yeah, so next week for sure we're going to be releasing the video on the wiring harness and kind of going through what we did there and getting it installed. We're also going to be machining a piece because this is really flimsy now. We're machining a piece that's going to fit through here and go up here. I'm about to run that on this machine right here. And but yeah, guys, hey, thanks so much for watching. If you liked the video, please make sure to like and subscribe, hit the little bell to be notified when videos come out. That really helps me out. And be sure to check out mealeymarine.com. There's a link down below for a collection page that has all the products that we're using on this build. So if you guys are working on your own Ranger or any other boat, honestly, you can see the switches that we're using, the wire, all of that, so that if you guys need anything, it's real simple. It's right there. So guys, thanks for watching. See you next week.